Drew DeArmond, welcome into the game. I hope all is well, man.
Thank you, man. It's great to be back with you, Ryan, always. And I just want to know, for all those great fans of yours in the City of Champions, do you autograph your Tundra so they can get a nice little incentive to sell it at Tuscaloosa Toyota?
No, I don't. I don't. I don't know. Maybe that would be an option. But I'm sure that would devalue. It would.
Surely not.
It would devalue the Tundra. And yeah, I mean, I just picked up a new one a couple of weeks ago, and the 2018. I think they've still got my 2018 over there that I've been driving, and now I'm driving the 2019. So they wanted to make sure that. And I will tell you, man, Scott Peoples, he takes care of me, man. He says we got to put him in that great-looking truck, and so I pull up, and it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's got every feature that. Drew, I was just learning the 2018 features. Now the 2019's got all these features. I mean, I don't know if I mashed the wrong button. Is it going to eject me out of the top of the truck? I mean, I'm looking at buttons going, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? But it's Drew.
Yeah, I mean, Toyota's great stuff, man.
You love them too. You love them too.
I do. I have a 2015 RAV4. Just got it serviced over at the good folks at Bill Penny Toyota. It's one of the sponsors of my station, and we love that as well. So Toyota, you can't go wrong with it. Tremendous service, tremendous vehicles. They last a long, long time, and you can't do better than going over to see Scott Peoples and them in Tuscaloosa and let them take care of you.
All right, so let's continue. I want to take you back to Saturday night. What was your gut feeling? And be honest with me. What was your gut feeling? What was your confidence level going in to Saturday night's Heisman Trophy presentation? Did you feel like that he was going to win it, or did you feel like that he had already lost it, that it was just a matter of time?
No, I mean, I felt like, and I was asked this on my Twitter account on DeArmond977 ESPN. I made no mistake that I thought Kyler Murray was going to win the Heisman. I could just kind of read the tea leaves with the media. My partner Scott Tyson voted for Kyler Murray. He admitted as much on our show this morning. He kind of based it on, I think, that championship game, and then looking at 3 or 4 games, and then adding up the numbers for Kyler Murray and for Tua Tagovailoa. But you can't really do it that way because Tua in so many ways was not playing 4 quarters of the game. So to me, that's not really accurate. To me, if you wanted to do it that way, you needed to go by total snaps each guy played and then look at it from that perspective. But again, I think there's a lot of Alabama fatigue in the media. I mean, they should have given like Skip Bayless and Joel Klatt and all these guys pom-pom be rooting for the Big 12 interest with Soft Sharman Big 12 over at Fox, because they were trumpeting Kyler Murray for 2 months, even though, that's the problem, though. They wouldn't know football to hit him in the face because they don't really understand what defense is. But, I mean, again, it is what it is, and I know they kind of try to they try to compare West Virginia to LSU, which is a joke, because if West Virginia played LSU, they'd get massacred because they would actually have to face a secondary. So, again, the Big 12, puts up video game stats, but mostly because it's basically a glorified 7-on-7 conference.
All right, so I missed it. Now we know somebody, because you said your co-host, which is Scott Tyson there on 97.7, The Zone, been in the media business forever. You said he voted for Kyler Murray?
Yes, he did. He voted Kyler Murray.
What was his justification?
Well, basically, he kind of added up the biggest games for Kyler. Again, the West Virginias and the Texas a couple of times, and what he had to do, what he did in those big games. And then he looked at Tua Tagovailoa. And, of course, but again, those stats are skewed because you're not playing a full 4 quarters. Even in those type of games, Tua Tagovailoa was not playing the full 4 quarters. I mean, I kept up with it all year, Ryan. I mean, going into the SEC Championship game, he played 14 snaps in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, I respect Scott for the decision that he made. He said it was a very difficult one. But to me, I wouldn't have approached it that way because Tua Tagovailoa, both of them going into the SEC Championship game had an outlier game where they didn't put up big snaps. Kyler Murray against Army. And guess what, everybody? Army was the highest-rated defense that the Oklahoma Sooners faced the whole year. But they took them into overtime, 28-21. The Sooners found a way to win. And then Tua had, the game against Mississippi State, which is a high-quality defense as well, and he got banged up. But the main reason Tua lost the Heisman Trophy was just the timing of the whole deal. He didn't have a great game against Georgia. He got banged up early, and then he struggled the rest of the game. And I'll equate it like this. If Jalen Hurts, and say just for argument's sake, Texas A&M was a quality opponent. Say that Jalen Hurts came off the bench to win the game in Tuscaloosa over Texas A&M, and Tua Tagovailoa missed the end of that game. And then he came back and was healthy and put up, 380 yards, 87 yards against Texas A&M. He put that up against Georgia. If he does it at that time, Tua Tagovailoa wins this Heisman in a landslide. It was just about when it happened because a lot of the voters waited till the championship Saturday, and they put too much weight on that game, and then that's what cost Tua Tagovailoa the Heisman.
See, Drew, I think people were looking for an excuse. I think they'll tell you that the championship game made the difference. I'm not talking about your co-host. I'm just talking about, I look at the South. He only won the South by 19 votes. I think people were looking for an excuse not to vote for Tua Tagovailoa. I'm convinced that, and I'll go to my grave saying it. I believe they were looking for an excuse, and he gave them a little small reason because of the injury and the way that he played. They were looking for it, and they found it.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. I think there was some Bama fatigue involved, and I think it's also embarrassing that you look at and they don't reveal. Most of the people don't reveal who they voted for. Scott revealed his today. Steve Moulton, we're fortunate at 97.7 The Zone. We have two Heisman Trophy voters. Steve Moulton revealed, this weekend who he voted for. He voted Tua Tagovailoa to win the Heisman. He voted Tua, then Kyler Murray, and then he didn't even have Dwayne Haskins in his top three. He had Travis Etienne of Clemson in his top three. So we're fortunate to have Scott and Steve able to take part in it, and they take it seriously. But the problem is you have a percentage of voters, as you heard, like on 90% of the ballot, Tua was named, but that means on 10% of them, he was not even on the ballot. The same way with Kyler Murray and on 22%. So there are voters out there that didn't have either one of those guys in the top three for the Heisman. And to me, if that's really the case, it's a free country and you can vote for who you want to. But if you do not pay attention to college football and you don't have Tua Tagovailoa or Kyler Murray on the list of finalists, especially Tua Tagovailoa, then I don't think you deserve to vote for the Heisman. But I think if you see these three guys announced as the finalists, be it Tua, Kyler, and Dwayne Haskins, those three guys at least need to be on your ballot because I just don't think it's legitimate if not. I know Steve had the choice to put Travis Etienne on there, but again, I just feel like if you really follow the sport, you need to have some kind of idea about who the finalists are and educate yourself. And then sometimes I just think out of spite, some of these people, especially former Heisman Trophy winners, they don't vote for certain guys, and I just think that's a trap.
Well, and to go back just a couple of minutes, last Monday when I was filling out my Heisman ballot, slept on it again on Sunday night, thought I knew what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. I felt guilty for not even voting Kyler second. Because I know a lot of people will drop him down, and I think that happened with Tua. They dropped him down enough that it cost him some votes. But to me, I didn't even look at myself with integrity and say, I've got to vote for the two best players in college football. And I do think it's Tua and Kyler Murray. I just think that he plays arena football out in the Big 12. I do not, and I'll say it again, David Pollack said it earlier in this program. We played some audio from him. I do not respect the brand of football they're playing. That brand of football, if that's where football is going, I don't like it.
Yeah, I detest it as well. To me, there has to be some semblance of defense that you have to face. You have to take into account, snaps played if you're going to. That has to be part of it, and who you play against. And, in Baker Mayfield's case, he had at least played against, the Urban Meyer and Ohio State. So he had put up some numbers against them. But, when when he at least he had played a quality out of conference opponent. This year, Oklahoma really didn't do that, in my opinion. They didn't play a high profile out of conference opponent, and then the Big 12 was, I think if you talk to people, it's even worse this year. I mean, if you watch that Oklahoma West Virginia game, I mean, my Lord, the first thing that I thought about was the Tua Tagovailoa played four quarters in that kind of league, and I said this on my Twitter account. He would throw for 4,500 to 5,000 yards and 50 to 60 touchdowns. He would dwarf the numbers of the rest of these players in the Big 12 because of how good he is. And I think, so I do think that the stats are skewed. I think Tyler is a great player. I think he's a great athlete. I mean, my Lord, the guy is a first-round baseball draft choice of the Oakland A's. And the Big 12 is a quality baseball league, without a doubt. They play really good baseball there. So I have complete respect. And he was a five-star athlete coming out of Allen, Texas. Let's not forget that. He did struggle his freshman year against Texas A&M, but he was a heavily recruited young man. So though he has talent, and I just think, Tua Tagovailoa had a historic season before he got injured against the Georgia Bulldogs. And I think there was too much weight put on that game. And hopefully now, I'm hearing his rehab is going really well. He's going to be healthy when he faces Oklahoma. So at least I will say this. A lot of this conversation we're having today is going to drive ratings, and it's going to be good for college football when these two guys get a chance to face off against each other in Miami at the Orange Bowl.
What do you think early thoughts on Alabama-Oklahoma?
Well, I just think Alabama's the better football team. I think they're the better football team by 3 scores. I don't see how they hold Alabama under 50 points. Certainly, I have respect for Kyler Murray and their offense. It's been historic. I think they could score 24 to 31 points on Alabama. But I think Alabama can force turnovers. And I think Alabama, if I were Alabama, I would actually come out and I'd bloody Oklahoma's nose. I would run the football. I would try to control the clock, keep Kyler on the sideline. You can't score when you're controlling the clock. You can still use Tua Tagovailoa and these receivers and have a balanced attack. And if I'm Alabama, I'm looking to rush for 300 yards. Tua can still throw for 250, maybe even 300, and get 600 yards offense. I think it's going to be impossible merely for Oklahoma to force Alabama to punt the football. And I think Alabama can keep the Oklahoma Sooners around 56 to 24, 56 to 31. I think Alabama's the better football team, and I think they're, certainly if Alabama can avoid and play even in the special teams, which they did against Georgia, I think that Georgia's a much better team than Oklahoma as far as, a complete team. And I think Alabama can win the game comfortably and make a big statement on the 29th in prime time.
Big win yesterday in Coleman Coliseum, according to Marquise Munson.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice bounce back. I mean, the game on Tuesday was just really bitterly disappointing. When you're up by 22 points with about 14 minutes to go and you're dominating that game, you look like you're going to score 100-plus points, and then you go with an 8 to 9 minute drought and still score 80 and don't finish the game, and you can't make free throws down the stretch, and then you have issues turning the ball over. Alabama should have beaten Georgia State. Georgia State's a decent opponent, but I felt like really it was probably the most disappointing loss of Avery's 4 years. I mean, there have been some, but I thought just how he's built the roster, and then, with Ron Hunter, those guys coming in tired. They were a good team, but not great. I just felt like this was a game Alabama should win at home. I thought it was very, very disappointing to drop it, but I thought, Sean Miller, excellent coach. He has a good team, not a great team. He's having to rebuild his roster, but I thought it was huge that Alabama bounced back and found a way to win, especially considering they had another big lead that they let get away. But Tyler Lewis, especially, I watched him for 3 years in high school, and that step-back three he hit and then the 2 free throws down the stretch to kind of save Alabama gets them to 6-3 going into this break for finals. And then they'll be coming up to my community to play Liberty, and caution because Liberty soundly beat Georgia State. So Alabama's going to have to come out with the right mindset. But it was big to get to 6-3 because the SEC is going to be a brutal league. And right now, when you see Tennessee beat Gonzaga this past weekend, and you see some of the other scores around this conference, no game is going to be easy. Auburn's playing very well. They beat up on Anthony Grant and Dayton this past weekend. So Alabama needed that win. It was big for the league, and it was big for Alabama to get to 6-3 and beat Arizona.
You know, I was telling people last week that just don't give up on Avery. You mentioned the word Anthony Grant. Makes me appreciate Avery Johnson that much more. Glory, hallelujah. I mean,
yeah, he's a great representative at the university.
Oh,
he's done so much work to recharge.
He's climbed Mount
program.
Everest in flip flops down here.
Yeah, I mean he's fought a large rebuilding battle, getting it where everybody wants it. We just need to see consistency. But certainly, Kyra Lewis should just continue to get better. Hopefully, John Petty can get going again. He had a really nice start to the season. His last 3 games have been disappointing. He hasn't been able to get in double figures, but hopefully that shooting slump will get be a thing of the past. And they need to get Herbert Jones some confidence as well, because they're going to need all hands on deck in the next few weeks when the SEC starts. As far as in January, when I think the SEC from top to bottom is going to be as good as any conference in college basketball.
Drew D 977 ESPN, Drew D 977 ESPN, one of the top morning shows in the great state of Alabama. You'll find it there, 97.7 The Zone. You're looking for a way to occupy your 7 to 9 spot. It's a great way to do it. Drew D 977 ESPN. Drew, I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, man. I always enjoy being on the city of Tuscaloosa. Appreciate it.